How are you doing, everybody? This is Katie, and I will be walking you guys through the first Excel workshop. Now, the fact that you guys are here tells me that you guys are putting in some practice, which is awesome. Practicing this workshop a couple of times is going to have you very well set up when the time of the exam comes. That being said, let's get started. So looking at the spreadsheet, we have the formula bank. This contains all of the formulas that we will be using throughout this workshop. We have the text sources, which are essentially the text that we're going to be working with and pulling data from. We have the instructions, which are the requests and the problems that are being asked of us. And we have the result, which is going to be our answers. And we're going to solve these with formulas. Now, to type a formula, you want to double click on the cell that you're working on. And you always start formulas with an equal sign. Let's start by going over search and find. These are very similar formulas with a very slight difference, which is going to be important for you guys to know. Now, we're being asked to search for the first ABC within this cell right here. The person asking this essentially wants to know the position of the first ABC as far as character placement in this text. So let's type equal sign, search, open parenthesis. And the variables we have here for the formula are find text, within text, and starting number, which is optional. We're not going to do that. So find text is essentially what are we looking for? So for that, we put ABC. And when we're looking for a specific text, we always use quotation marks. Remember that. And within text, where are we looking for it? Well, we're looking for it in cell C3. So we can just go to cell C3 and click it. And that's our formula. We close the parenthesis, hit enter, and it gives us the number 5. Now, why does it give us back the number 5? Well, it's looking for character placement. So we got the first, second, third, fourth, and the fifth character in this text string. That is where ABC starts. Now let's try to find the first ABC and see what the difference is. So if we hit equal sign, find, same exact thing. What text are we looking for and where are we looking for it? So we're looking for ABC, comma, and the text source is in cell C4. You can just click on the cell and it gives you that by default. We close the parenthesis, hit enter, it gives us back 9. Now, why is this? Well, if we count the characters, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So search pulls this ABC and find pulls this ABC. The difference is find is case sensitive. Search will pull ABC as soon as it recognizes the letters. So to sum it up, find is basically search, but a little bit more picky. Next, we're being asked, how long is the text string? As in, how many characters are in this text right here? To do this, we can use the length formula, which, as you can see in the green, is just equal sign and LEN. We open the parentheses, and the only variable we're being asked to enter is text. So we're being asked to find the length of cell C5. Close the parenthesis, and it gives us back 15. And if you count the characters here, it's going to check out. Next up, we're going to be playing around with the left, right, and mid formulas. Now, for the sake of this workshop, I want you guys to know extract and populate basically mean the same thing. We're being asked to pull or isolate. In this case, the leftmost 2 characters. So the 4 and the hyphen. So to do this, we want to hit equal sign, left, and then we have the text that we are working with and the number of characters we are pulling. So for this one, we have C6 as a text, and you can spell out C6 or you can just click on the cell. It doesn't make a difference. And the optional number of characters, which in this case it specifies we're looking for 2. So we're looking for the 2 leftmost characters in cell C6. We hit enter, we get 4 hyphen, and that checks out also. Next up, we're being asked to populate the rightmost character. Given that it's asking for the rightmost character as in singular, we can assume that we're pulling 1 character for this text. We have equal sign, right, because we're looking for the rightmost. The text that we are working with is cell C7, comma, and the number of characters, I'm going to choose to say 1. And we get 7. Now, because 7 is the last digit. Now, If it's one character that we're looking for, we don't have to specify. That's why that part is optional. By default, the formula gives back one. But if you want any more than that, you have to specify. Either way, I'm going to specify just for the sake of consistency. Next up, we are going to extract the style number within this UPC code. So this whole thing is a UPC code. The style number is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we want to isolate that. Given that the style number is not quite to the very left and not quite to the very right of the text, we're going to use a different formula, that being mid. We're going to open our parentheses, and it's asking us for three different things. We're being asked for the text that we are working with. This part is easy. We just click on the cell C8. Starting number and number of characters. This part, it's super, super important for you guys to not get confused. We're not looking for the starting number that appears on the screen. We're not looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're looking for the starting character number, as in position. So the part of text that we want to show starts at which character placement? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We start from the 9th character, comma, and then number of characters. This is just the number of characters we're displaying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is 5 characters that we are displaying. And then we hit enter, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have successfully pulled the style number from this code. Next, we're being asked to populate the 5-digit vendor ID, which is 56789. Now, same exact thing that we just did. We're going to equal sign, mid, open parenthesis, and we have the three variables. So the text that we're working with is this cell right here, C9, comma, starting number, which again is not 5, it is where that 5 is placed within the text string. We have 1, 2, 3. It is a third character. So we're going to say the third character. And the number of characters that we are pulling is, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 5 numbers that we are pulling. We close the parenthesis and we get the 5-digit vendor ID. Okay, now we're going to go over replace and substitute. Now, these are very similar words and they mean very similar things in real life, but in Excel, these actually have two different functions. So let's first go over replace. We're being asked to replace the vendor ID 56789 with 98765. So we're essentially flipping it. And to do this, we're going to hit equal sign. If you take a look at the formulas of the green, it's pretty intuitive. That replaces the formula we're going to use. Open parenthesis. And here we get 4 variables, which is not as scary as it looks if you take it one step at a time. So you have the old text, starting number, number of characters. This is what we've been doing. And then the new text. So what are we replacing it with? So for the old text, what we currently have is cell C10. Starting number. So the characters that we are replacing, which character placement do they start from? This 5 starts at the first, second, third character. We start replacing from the third character within this text string, and the number of characters that are being replaced are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for the new text, which is the text that's going to be replacing it, we're going to say 98765. And we get the same exact text string that we had, except now the vendor ID is flipped. And one thing I do want to mention, guys, when you're using numbers, you don't have to put quotation marks necessarily. It's optional. Excel can understand numbers with or without quotation marks. But if you are specifying text, like letters or symbols, then you have to use quotation marks no matter what. I'm going to choose to keep them. Next up, we're going to be using the substitute formula to substitute all the periods within this phone number with hyphens. So to do this, we're going to hit equal sign, substitute, open parenthesis. Now we have the text that we're working with, old text, new text. We're not doing the optional one. Pretty straightforward. So the text that we are working with is going to be cell C11. We're going to hit comma. The old text, which is what is being replaced, is going to be the period. And as I said, guys, periods are always going to be put in quotation marks because they are symbols. Another comma, and the new text, which is what is replacing it, is going to be the hyphen. We close the quotation marks as well as the parentheses, hit enter, and we get 908, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, except now we have hyphens instead of the periods. So guys, what is the difference between replace and substitute? So essentially, replace will take a chunk of text of your choice and replace it with a different chunk of text of your choice. While substitute will take all instances of a character, like periods, for example, and replace them with dashes. Or it can take all the A's in the string of text and replace them with B. While replace is more targeted. Next, we're being asked to remove all three hyphens from this phone number. And a super easy way to do this is by using the substitute formula. So we're going to hit equal sign, substitute. I spelled that wrong. And the text that we are working with, we start from what we know. We have cell C12, comma, old text. This is a text that we want gone. That's going to be the hyphen, in quotation marks always, comma, and the new text, which is what's going to replace it. Well, we want to remove it, so we replace it with literally nothing. So to do this, we just put two quotation marks with nothing between them. And Excel is smart enough to understand what's between two quotation marks, even if that's nothing. If we had a space here, it would replace it with a space. But we want to remove them, so we just leave it empty. Okay, so guys, these next two formulas are the most complicated of this workshop because we're combining formulas for the next two problems. So populate the rightmost 7 characters without including the hyphen. Essentially, what we want to do here is remove all the hyphens and then extract the rightmost 7 characters. So that means the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To do this, we're going to combine the right formula because we're looking for the rightmost characters. And yes, we want to pull the rightmost 7 characters, but first we want to remove the hyphens. So in the brackets, we're actually going to put substitute. And this is going to run as a basic substitute formula. So we're going to select the text that we are working with. The text that we want gone is the hyphen. That is all instances of the hyphen. And the text that's going to be replacing the hyphen is empty quotation marks, which stand for nothing. And now we can close this substitute formula, and by rules of PEMDAS, whatever is in the brackets happens first. So the right formula hasn't even been recognized until the substitute formula happens. So what happens first is all of the hyphens are removed from this, and what this text is right now, what the right formula reads as the text that it's working with, as its source, is the cell without the hyphens. And then how many characters are we pulling? That is going to be 7. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you guys want me to do these one by one, I could do it like this. So substitute. And right where the source that we're going to use is this. And then 7. This is basically what we just did, but we did it in one singular cell by putting the substitute formula as the source of the right formula. Next, we are going to remove the first 4 characters of this number. So what is this asking us? It's asking us to keep everything except for the first 4 characters. So 908 hyphen, we want that gone. And also, we want to keep everything else. Now, you could do this using substitute and all that, but I want to show you guys a different way to do this, just to show you that there are many different ways to do things with Excel. This is my preferred way of how I want to see it on the exam. So we're going to hit equal sign. What we want to see is everything to the right of these first 4 characters, everything that comes after those. So we're going to say right, open quotation marks. The text that we are working with is cell C14, and then we say comma. Now, number of characters. So within this cell, C14, Which characters do we want to see? Well, again, we want to see all of them, the entire length of the text, except for the first four. So to do this, we would say length of cell C14, and we could say -4. Hit enter, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, it might be a bit confusing at first, but the way that this formula works, guys, is using the right formula and the length formula in combination, we essentially say we want to keep everything about this text, but removing the number 4 from the length. The reason this works is because the length of the cell C14 is however many characters it is, and saying -4 is automatically going to subtract 4 characters. Excel is smart enough to understand that. And also, given that we're using the right formula in tandem with it, it's going to remove the first 4 and keep everything to the right of it. Okay, so next we want to learn how to format text. So this date, which is written the exact same way across all these cells, we want to display it in a different way each time. How do we do this? Well, for a good part of this workshop, we're going to be using the text formula. That is a formula you use to reformat the way that text appears. So actually to visualize this, I'm going to make this easier for you guys. So I'm going to say, and this is going to make sense in 1 second. Extract the month and format to 3. So we're going to say =, text. We have this entire date here, and we just want to show the month. We just want to pull the month. We don't need the entire date. So we're going to click, this is the cell that we're working with, C15. And the way we want to format it, in quotation marks, we're going to format it as month. And that's going to give us back the number 3. If we want to display month alone, once again, as O3, as double digits, we're going to do the same exact thing. So =, text. We're going to open the parenthesis and we're going to say, we're working with cell C16, that is going to be our value. And the second part, the format, we want to format it as MM. So if we put 1 M for the format, it's going to pull the month as a single digit. If we want to put 2 M's for the format, that's going to show the month as double digits and it's going to give us O3. Now, what if we want to spell out the month without having to actually go in here and type it out? Well, we can say =, text. And for the text that we're working with cell C17, comma. And the way we want it to appear is MMM. If you type 3 M's, Excel understands that is a code to say we want the month, but we want it in a shortened version, abbreviated. And we get MAR. And if we want to spell out the whole month, as in March, we're going to do the exact same process, =, text, open parenthesis, select the cell that we're working with, and how do we display it? We display it as MMMM. And I remember somebody asked during the workshop, does it have to match the number of letters in the month? No, March is 5 letters, MMMM is 4. Just say MMMM, and essentially it's going to spell out the whole month, no matter what month it is. And the cool thing about the text formula is we can do this with anything. So we can do this with the days of the week also. So we have the same exact date, but we don't want to pull the month. We want to pull the day, as in day of the week. We want to highlight what weekday this occasion was, 3/24/2014. So we're going to say =, text. And the text that we are working with is cell C19, comma. And the way we want to format it is as DDD, because again, it's asking us to extract the day as a day of the week, spelled out in a shortened way, just like the month, which is 3 M's, the day is 3 D's. But if we want to spell out the whole day of the week, we're going to say =, text. We're working with cell C20, comma, and DDDD. It's going to spell out the whole day of the week, no matter what day it is. And we get a Monday. Whatever was going on this date, it couldn't have been that cool, because what were they doing on a Monday, realistically? Next, we're going to say convert the date to the mm/dd/yy format. Now, you might think, whoa, that's kind of a jump. Not really. It's going to be the exact same process. So we're going to hit equal sign, text. We're going to choose the text that we are working with, cell C21. And for the format, we can just take exactly what we have in the request and type it out. And that's going to give us what we want. So we have mm/dd/yy. And we get 12, 24, 2014. Excel understands the slashes, and it also understands that YY is going to pull the year in 2 digits, MM is going to pull the month in 2 digits, and DD is going to pull the date in 2 digits. And the order you do it is the order it shows up. Pretty straightforward. Next, we are being asked to reformat the date to December 24, 2014. Now, we're going to do the same exact process that we have been doing so far. So we're going to hit equal sign, text, open parenthesis, click on cell C22. That is the text that we are working with. Our value and the way we want to format it is starting from what we know, the reference that we have here. We have the whole month of December spelled out. So we're going to say MMMM. The day, as in day of the month. DD, we have a comma and a space, which Excel understands on its own, and the year in full year format, which is going to be YYYY. And I'm also going to capitalize these for consistency. We close the quotation mark, we close the parenthesis, and we hit enter. We got December 24, 2014, exactly as it is asked in our request. Next up, we're going to reformat this date, the DEC hyphen space 24. We're going to say equal sign, text, open parenthesis. The text that we are working with is cell C23, comma, and the way we want to format it is the month spelled out in a way that is shortened and abbreviated. That's going to be MMM. We have a hyphen, which we can just type because Excel will understand it on its own, space, and then the date, 24. So it's going to be DD. We close the quotation marks, close the parenthesis, and we get the day exactly as it is requested. So now we want to extract the full day from this date as day of the week, and then the full date also. So for this, we're going to say equal sign, text. The cell we're working with is C24, comma. And to begin, we want to extract the full day of the week. So it's going to be DDDD, space, and then the full date. Full date, I mean, you can refer to the cell itself to see what that looks like. There's going to be month and then day and then year. So MM/DD/YYYY, that's always a safe bet. Close the quotation mark, close the parenthesis, hit enter, and we get Wednesday, 12/24/2014. Now, guys, one thing that text formula cannot do is extract the day as number of day of the week, because D and DD will extract the day as in day of the month as a number. 3Ds and 4Ds will extract the day of the week, but they're going to spell it out. But that leaves the text formula no option to extract the day of the week as number of the day of the week. So they made a special formula just for this. That's going to be equal sign weekday. And essentially what we're saying here is that March 24th, 2014 was the second day of the week. It was a Tuesday. So guys, another thing that is super important to know is how to combine two cells into one. And for that, there's two different ways. I'm going to start by showing you the formula for it, which is equal sign concatenate. It can be kind of hard to spell at first, I'm not going to lie. And the only thing that it asks for us is text 1 and text 2 and so on. So we click James, comma, that's B26. We click Smith, that's C26. Close the parenthesis, hit enter, and it gives us James Smith. Now, this is cool, this is awesome, but James Smith is kind of squished together. There's no space between the two words. So if we want to build James Smith with a space between it, The way we would do this, we would say concatenate, open parenthesis. Text 1 is going to be cell B27, comma. Text 2, we can also input text of our own. So if we want to input a space, once again, Excel is super smart when it comes to understanding what's between quotation marks. So we're literally just going to put quotation marks with a space between them. And the other part of the text is going to be cell C27. So we're combining James with a space that we put there ourselves and Smith. And we get James Smith. Now, what if we're being asked to reverse it and build Smith, comma, James? We're going to hit equal sign, concatenate, open parenthesis, and we're going to say Smith first, because that's what it's asking first, comma. Now, in our quotation marks, the text between Smith and James, sorry, is going to be a comma and a space. So we can do that. And Excel will now recognize that we're putting a comma and a space between cell C28 and cell B28. And by doing it in this order, we're going to get Smith, comma, space, James. Now, a couple other things before we move on. I'm going to show you guys how to play around with capitalization. I'm going to put this here for your reference, although it is in the formula bank. Now, if we have this text here, James Smith, and we want to change it to all caps, instead of deleting it and retyping it in all caps, what we can do is we can hit equal sign, upper, and the only thing it asks for is the cell that we want to capitalize. And that's going to be C29. We hit enter and it makes James Smith all uppercase. Now, what if we don't want that? What if we have a lowercase name and we want to just properly capitalize it? Well, to capitalize something properly in Excel, we use the formula proper. And we click on the cell that we want to capitalize. And we hit enter. And that's going to give us James Smith. It only capitalizes the first letter of each word. So guys, the last part of the first workshop is putting these 4 cells together. And this is basically an address. So this looks like a lot maybe in the beginning, but I promise you, if you take it one step at a time, it's going to be pretty straightforward. And I'm going to do this the first time purposely with some, I'm not going to make it the cleanest, just because I want to show you how easy it is to go back and edit it. So we have concatenate, because that's what we use to put cells together. The first text that we're going to put is the street address, which makes sense. Between the street and the city, let's say we want a space, and we're going to put the city. And then between the city and the state, let's say we want a comma, and then we put the state. Sorry. We have the comma that's in the quotation marks, that's the one that's going to read, and this is the one that separates the text. We click on the state. And then between the state and the zip code, we're going to have another space. And then another comma just to separate the different parts of the text. So let's say enter. We have something here, 10 West Main Street, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701. Now, obviously this doesn't look the cleanest. I mean, the street and the city are kind of together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a comma right next to the space and make sure that there's still a space here. So now it's looking a little bit better. We have 10 Main West Street, comma, Red Bank, comma, New Jersey, but there's no space here, which doesn't look the nicest. So we're going to say comma, space. We're going to add the space to that comma, go back into those quotation marks and just edit them a little bit. And now we have a perfectly formatted address. So the whole point of this is to show you guys, you don't have to memorize this whole thing as long as you understand the logic behind it. And before I forget, guys, a different method if you don't want to do concatenate is using the ampersand. So this would not really involve the formula. You would just hit equals, click on the first cell, and then space, ampersand, let go of the shift, space, and then click on the other cell, C26, and it's going to give you James Smith. If you want to add a space between them, same exact logic. You hit equal sign, click on the first cell, James, B27, space, ampersand, let go of the shift, space, quotation marks with a space between them, ampersand, space, the other cell, which is C27, Smith. And you get James Smith. And for this super long one, you can do this with the ampersand also if you don't want to concatenate. And for the longer one, the ampersand would essentially replace the commas that come with concatenate. So equal sign, I click on the first cell, the street, that is C31, space, ampersand, let go of the shift, quotation marks with a comma and a space between them, space, ampersand, same deal, next cell, space, ampersand, quotation marks with a comma and a space again, another ampersand in order to put the comma and the space together. Another ampersand and another space and the zip code. And we get 10 West Main Street, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701. We got the exact same result with a different method. You can use whichever one of these you're more comfortable with. Personally, I like concatenate more, but it's entirely your choice. And that is going to conclude the first workshop. If you guys can do this comfortably, that is going to take you a really, really long way, both in your internships as well as the exam that you want to get the certificate for. So practice this a couple times, guys, before the exam. We also will be reviewing this during the review session. But if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to the base Gmail. That is baseofrutgers@gmail.com. If you see me in campus and you have a question, never hesitate to ask. And I wish you guys the best of luck in your studies.